All right, we're gonna skip ahead a bit to talk about the instrumental. If we're going backwards chronologically, the instrumental is the next one in line, but we're not going to talk about the instrumental. We're going to talk about the normal release of Perception and Transcendence by this band, which I refuse to learn how to pronounce or spell. Because I named it that as a joke, and then people liked it, so here we are. This album's interesting to talk about because when I hate on my own albums, I'm judging them based on what I think they should be. Okay? So when I'm judging the design abstract, I'm judging it against what I think that project should sound like. You know, when I'm judging constructs of an unseen algorithm, I'm comparing the production to what I think symphonic deathcore should sound like. Not even what it does sound like contemporarily. What I think in my brain it should sound like. I'm comparing that to how it sounds to me subjectively, right? Why am I even making these layers of subjectivity? Doesn't matter. You don't have to watch it. What's interesting is Perception and Transcendence is like nearly perfect at achieving what it does, which is like esoteric, progressive, melodic death black metal. Every genre. It's every genre. I threw the word transcendence in there, and it is transcendent in the second half, I will say. Like celestial, and what are these fucking cats doing? And like the outro, and I don't know, the build up, the shit. It is transcendental enough. It is a mix of layered black metal trem picking, the same type of layering I would use in Voicide, just applied a different way, and some sort of interesting riffy, they're death metal-ish, melodic death metal, melodic black metal, somewhere in there, riffs that I don't think I could ever come up with again. The brief context of this album is that COVID hit and I was going through a breakup, and I played guitar for about 6 hours a day, and this is the peak of it. Those riffs are like the absolute most that I can come up with on guitar, and I'm okay with that. That's just sort of how it is. So it, by design, is supposed to sound kind of messy and obscure, underproduced. I went to great lengths to make the sampled drums sound organic and mushy and sort of washy. Hello. And I feel like I overwhelmingly achieved that goal for once in my life. I feel like that sounds exactly the way I want it to, where it sounds rough enough that you buy it as a, like, sort of, again, it's not like raw black metal, but it's definitely more raw than anything that I've produced, and it sounds real even though it isn't, and that's fucking awesome. Which is also due to the fact that these riffs and guitar parts are really hard, and I insisted on recording all of them and not letting Logan do it, which would have completely changed the feel. So anyway, we're not talking about what's great about this album. We're talking about what sucks about this album. So I don't have a ton of criticisms. I think the composition, I didn't like how much the composition varied. I feel like Ritualistic Warfare and the Ancient Waters had a very cohesive sound, and by the time we got to like whatever that boring one, like the Fractals Within Shadows, it's like a different genre. It sounds like a different thing. It's more like proggy in the way that I don't like. Vessels was me trying to just like make black metal as possible, and I think that's kind of a pass, but those two songs back to back are weird. Like, if people like it, that's cool. I won't do that again because I don't like it. It's not consistent enough for me. I feel like this project needed to find a sound that sounded like itself without doing shit like that, and that was the first 2 tracks, and I suppose the last 2 tracks as well. That's the challenge for the next one. The mixing on this was kind of all over. again, it's not super apparent. And this was the first one that I ever mixed the entire thing in one audio file. And that was just so that it was a little more consistent, because it runs start to finish. It's gapless. But it's like aggressively gapless. Like it sounds like shit when the songs are isolated. Some of the vocal performances are lacking. Again, I didn't know this project would be liked, so I didn't really care. Vessels was one take. Like, I literally just one take that. And so there's timing issues. There's timing issues on Vessels. There's timing issues on Dreams Within Darkness or whatever. Fractals Within Shadows. Sorry, that was going to be the name of the album, and I forgot it. Fractals Within Shadows was originally the name of the album. There's timing issues with the vocals there. There's timing issues with Vessels. The clean vocals in Ritualistic Warfare, I literally did ironically. I was like, I'm making this black metal album, and people love when clean vocals sound like shit, so I'm going to make it sound like shit. And if I had the same mindset now, or then, that I do now, which is I want to make every release sound like Voicide. I know what that is now. I would have done the vocals totally differently. I would have actually layered them up. I wouldn't have used that tone. I would have made them sit in the mix. Well, not even the mix, because that implies that I would change the mix. The mix was fine. I would have delivered them. I would have sang them in a way that sounded in the mix better, if I would have known. But I didn't, because I thought 10 people would listen to this, and it's the most downloaded thing on our Bandcamp, including Technotheism, by a margin. Somebody likes it, just not on Spotify. So when I listen to it, I don't like that I intentionally made those vocals sound worse than they could have been. I think the mix could have been a little less muddy, because like black metal isn't muddy, it's just obscure, it's just dark. There's a difference between dark and muddy, right? Like muddy is in the low mid range, dark is a lack of high end, and I feel like it was a little mushy. It's not a big deal. Black metal, it doesn't matter. Hello. It's mostly the vocal timing. I feel like it's off in a way that doesn't serve the music, because like there's that solo in Vessels is bad and shitty, but it serves the music. Like I don't regret that solo. I don't like it, but I think it fits. Whereas like the mistimings in the vocals, I don't think that fits. That was just me being arrogant to being like, this is stupid and I can do this in one take. To be fair, this album sat for years and I was kind of done with it. You're going to notice that theme a lot. I was just done with it, so that's why it sounds like this, which is really ironic that I'm making videos about all of the stuff that I could have fixed if I had just waited a month. But live and learn. Maybe I will learn. Yeah. Judging this album under the, like, you know, it's not trying to be the design abstract. It's not trying to be death metal. It is like this weird mix of blackened death. More accurately, it's deathened black metal, really. It's progressive-ish. It's melodic-ish. It's transcendental, certainly, but not all the time. And it's not quite obscure and esoteric enough to be like a real transcendental death metal. You know, it's not Liturgy, the band. Nor do I want it to be. I'm not touching that shit. Yeah, I love them. It's not my thing. I mean, I listen to it. I wouldn't write it. My brain doesn't do that. Judging it based on those merits, it succeeded in its goals. The last album that we talked about was Survivor's Guilt, right? And I said this was the goal, and regardless of if it sounds good or not, it failed at that goal. And with this, it's kind of the opposite. It's like this was the goal, this weird blend of, you know, deafened melodic black metal. It started out with folk elements and ended up being progressive and transcendental. And it succeeds at that. It succeeds super hard. It's like all of its weirdness is used to an advantage for a change, because that's not the case for most of the shit that I do. Most of the time the weirdness is a detriment, but with this, it's its strong point. I'm not sure anything will ever exist that sounds like it, and because of that, I'll listen to it, and it's like, assuming I'm in the mood for black metal, which isn't always the case, I'm like, there's nothing here that I don't like aside from the contrasting genres in the ones that I mentioned, because like it's fine if it went from the ancient waters to vessels, but then the fact that it goes from vessels to fractals within shadows is rough. Fractals is a different genre. There needed to be something in between there, or I needed to pick a lane, and that throws me out of it a little bit. And I always am kind of bored by boring instrumental songs, even though I write them. So like Dreams Within Darkness, I don't even remember what it was, just like noise or whatever, and ambient shit, I don't know. Like I always skip those songs. You're allowed to too. Listen to it once and then skip it. That's like my listening guide. And then Celestial and the Eternal Waters, they succeeded super well at what they do, but I don't really like that sort of thing. I have to be in the mood for it. Twice a year, I'm in the mood for super long build-up, euphoric, transcendental shit. I don't normally care. I listen to pop and Vocaloid. But for what it is, it succeeds that. If that's what you're looking for, fucking great. And I'm not rating these based on, I am rating them based on how I like them, but I'm rating them based on problems with their goals and technical stuff. And on those fronts, this album achieves pretty much all that it sets out to. Again, our scale is 0 or 1 is it's cringe and I'll kill you if you like it, and 10 is there's literally nothing wrong with this. There's like a 9.5. The only real problem, the real problems are the vocal timing, which won't bug most people, and the genre inconsistencies, which again, some people like. I don't. But this is why I don't like these albums. I actually kind of do like this album. I just have to be in the mood for it.